Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, the place for internet technology professionals whose work-life balance plan has imploded. We are here to provide solutions that will help the IT pro live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hi, this is Joanne Victoria, the I Know It Works coach, and I'm the author of 7 books, including Lighting Your Path, How to Create the Life You Want, and Pushy for a Moment, Instant Solutions to Everyday Challenges. I'm also the host of the Sanity Project podcast, and I partner with IT professionals in telecommunications, technology, entertainment, and mass media industries whose work-life balance plan has imploded and who want more success, more confidence, more fun, and more inner peace. And I welcome guests to the platform for experts in the personal development and IT communities to share their wisdom, expertise, and solutions that will help the IT pro live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. And our guest today is going to help you listeners do just that. Beverly Joy Ehrlich is a certified dream coach and a graduate of Marcia Wider's Dream University. Beverly helps people achieve their dreams in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. She offers a step-by-step process for connecting to your life's purpose and passion. She teaches you how to make changes in your mindset and beliefs and help uncover what's sabotaging your success and how to remove obstacles. Beverly has a BA in psychology and Hebrew and a teacher's diploma from the University of Cape Town. She also holds an honors degree in psychology from UNISA and additional coaching certificates from Seminar Hakibutzim and the Derech Hadaat Institutes. Beverly helped founded the Olim for Olim, a company that was established to assist new immigrants adjust to the many challenges of living in Israel. Over the past 25 years, with diverse experience, Beverly has worked with individuals, couples, families, and groups. Today, Beverly, and I think she likes to be called Bev, but we'll find that out in a minute, she's going to talk to you about the difference between a fantasy dream, like winning the lottery, and a dream that can come true. You're going to learn what your doubter voice says to you and what your inner wisdom has to offer you. And we welcome to the show, Beverly Joy Ehrlich. Welcome,
Hi.
Beverly. Hi.
Thank you for hosting me.
Oh, I'm glad that you're here. It's interesting because you're the first person I've had about dreams as a topic. And I know you have, with a graduate of Marcia Wider's Dream University program, I know that you are serious and real and authentic, and we're trained by the only person I know that I would even consider talking about dreams in the way that you're going to speak about them today. So did you ever apply this work to your own personal life?
Oh, absolutely. Can I just make the distinction? You mentioned a dream as opposed to a fantasy, and
Yes.
then I will share my story. So no matter how many tickets we buy to win the lottery, we can't ensure that we'll win the big prize. But with compassion, courage, a good sense of humor, focus, action, we can really make our dreams come true. So over 30 years ago, my husband and I shared our dream with friends and family that we would like to come live in Israel and move from South Africa. And the first people we met on this journey were the doubters, with the, you want to go live in Israel? But why? You can't make a living there, you don't know the language, and this whole list of why we shouldn't. And what I learned then from my own experience was that if you have not dealt with your doubts and fears and you meet another doubter on your path, your doubts will be magnified. But if you have confronted your doubter and listened to its wisdoms and you meet another doubter on the path, it'll be an opportunity for you to deepen your conviction and your belief in yourself and your dream. So that's where we were. And that's when we took our first step. And as I say, over 30 years ago, we came to live in Israel, despite some of the negative voices that were coming in around us.
Did you have any big doubts that you might think were insurmountable in your move to Israel?
No. Firstly, we were very young, and we believed we could. It was a dream that had been on our minds, both my husband and I, even before we met. It was this was something we wanted to do. So then when we came together, that was, as I said, we deepened our conviction this was definitely something we were going to do. And it never crossed our minds that this wouldn't work. Just to give you a little bit of background, at the time in South Africa, parents were encouraging their children to leave. Not necessarily to Israel, they were encouraging them to leave to other Anglo-Saxon countries, Canada, Australia, the States, of course. Israel was not big on the list, or high on the list, I should say. But that wasn't an option for us, and we were well prepared. I studied Hebrew at university for 3 years. My husband knew what he was going to be doing once he got here. His Hebrew is excellent. So it was just a matter of one step at a time. And we accomplished this wonderful big dream of ours.
And I think youth, or being youthful or young, is an important factor, because there's less fear and you're less set in your ways when you make adjustments and changes. I know that people who are, pick an age, because people can be old at 25, they get stuck in their ways and are unwilling to make any consideration for change at all in their lives. And I think that your program about your dream coaching helps people get out of whatever rut that they might be in, being afraid, to take a chance, being afraid. And actually, you didn't take a chance, you researched. So people have to understand the difference. And I think that that's going to be part of what you're going to talk about today.
Right. And I encourage people to do this too. At some point, put a stake in the ground to show that you're more committed to yourself and your dream than to any doubts and fears. And people who live dream come true lives are particularly more generous, kinder, happier people. And what I can say is, if you look along the generations, because we received something in our culture, something personal from our parents and our ancestry, which we have now, of course, also passed on to our children. So all our children were born in Israel, but one was sent to Boston as a student, and he came to us and he said, one day maybe my wife and I would like to explore living in the States. And my answer was to him, you've been blessed with parents who have accomplished their dreams. Go on and fulfill your dreams, because who knows? He might become one of Israel's biggest ambassadors, right? But that's his journey, and he needs to fulfill his dreams. And we can't stand in his way, especially having created our own dreams and having said to our parents, look, this is something we need to do, and we are leaving you to create it.
Absolutely. So, yes. I'm sure the listeners understand that as well. If you did it, you can't knock your kids for wanting to do the same thing.
Exactly.
And you have all of the ingredients to be a great support system in that situation.
Absolutely.
So what can people do to have their dreams come true? I know you gave us, courage, compassion, focus, action, and a great sense of humor, which I think is really number 2 on the list. I like courage, but I think you have to have a sense of humor, otherwise you'll crash.
Exactly. Because one does. It's true. One does crash anyway. And
right.
I see falling down and failure, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the process now. I see it as just a way of telling you, hang on, you need to readjust. It's kind of like a GPS when you fail. I think you were maybe going in the wrong direction. Let's see if something else opens up for you. So when people come to me, they don't necessarily have a dream, but they feel they're looking for something. So the first stage is to really see, well, what is it you want? What's your intention? Your intention is kind of what moves the rudder of a boat. It's what do you want? And then integrity is living within that. Integrity would be stage number 2, where you take the actual steps. And taking the steps will give you the key, with intention is your key to manifestation. And part of taking the steps is saying no to what doesn't work for you anymore. So you can say yes to what does. And then I'll encourage people to see if they can express their dream as large and big as they want it to be. Because what we often find is that people move into strategy and action too quickly, and then they chunk their dream down to what they think is realistically possible, rather than seeing a huge, big picture. And then with that expression of the dream, often comes your fears and doubts, and like this deep breathing. So
yeah, I understand that, because it's similar when I tell people to create their vision, their life vision, which includes whatever work they're doing, and they make it so small that there's no room for any creativity within the concept of the vision. And yes, I understand that it's important to have the dream be really, really big so that you have choices within that context, so exactly, that you know that when you do fall down, as we all do, and that's a given from the beginning of life, actually, that you can get back up and make a left, make a right, and have another choice within the context of your dream or your vision. So people have to know that. And I think that is grand that you're telling people to have their dream be as big as possible, certainly for you to work with them within the dream.
Right. And then, as you say, there'll be failures, and failures, I really believe, are our biggest teachers. And then there is a stage where you need to break the dream down into small projects and strategies. And then I would say 2 really big points are, we never ever, and I'm going to even repeat this, we never ever create anything by ourselves. So we want to enroll people to support us and be part of our dream team. It's again saying no to those doubter voices, so we can say yes to people who will support that vision. Because it's not, we never create by ourselves.
No, we can't. We don't function in a vacuum.
Right. So we also want to know how to enroll people. How do I share my dream in a way that you will want to support me?
Okay. How do
so no. So I'm just saying that's part of enrollment, of expressing it in a way where you show your excitement, you're clear, so you're asking people clearly for how they can help you.
Yes, you're very specific.
Those are also 2 important steps along the way.
Yes. And people don't get, the team doesn't have to be large, it just has to be purposeful.
Purposeful, absolutely. I like to say it, embracing, and not everybody in your team will be doing the same things. In order for us to really, I feel, expand and deepen, we need to be held. We need to have people who accept us, who believe in us. And those are people you'd like on your dream team, as well as some of those who will take action with you.
Absolutely. We need all the help we can get, and if we can get the right people to help, it makes our journey, whatever that journey turns out to be, a little bit easier, a little bit safer.
Yes, and in addition to that, and to me this is the biggest bonus of all, we live then in a sense of contribution, because if you help me create my dream, I am that much richer to give to the world. Plus I've given to you, plus you've given to me. We're looking outward to each other. And to me that is the most meaningful part for me.
If you could repeat that for our listeners, because it bears repeating. I don't think people understand this concept enough. The strategy, however it needs to be labeled, and I hate labels, but we have to do something for the world at large. If you could repeat that concept again, I'd appreciate it, because people need to hear it over and over, of what helping each other does for us.
Right. So the depressed person looks inward, but the person who's not depressed, who's full, is able to contribute. And when we contribute to each other, that's when we create a more meaningful life. When we do things together and by being part of each other's dream teams, we contribute to each other, but we contribute on a larger scale. If I can just add something that might help clarify that even more.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I do for free, but it's not something virtual, it's something that I create in Israel, is I run what's called Generous Networkers events, where I invite small people into a relaxed, comfortable setting, because we all know that networking is important. That's how we enroll people, when we talk about what we do and what we want. But for many of us, it's really awkward and it's uncomfortable to go to these big networking events. But it's what we need to move our careers forward and our lives forward. So I've been privileged to learn from some of the great people in the world bringing out stuff on this art and the science of networking. And the more we find places that we connect, the more we're able to create that contribution again. Because if I can introduce you to someone who will move your life or your career forward, it's simply, and this I will repeat, it's simply an act of kindness. It doesn't cost me anything to introduce somebody to somebody else, to make that connection, which will move somebody else's life forward.
I know, it's just so easy to do for people who know how to do that, yet everybody wants something in return, and they expect, if I do this for you, this is what I want you to do for me, and it's like, that is just so obtrusive.
So that is like the zero-sum game. If we have a pie to share and I take 3/4 of it, you must by necessity get a quarter. But this is more like a candle. A candle that lights another candle doesn't diminish its flame. We all have our own strengths and special gifts to give to this world. So if I can help you by introducing you to somebody, it doesn't mean that I'm going to earn less or I'm going to be impacted negatively from that introduction. But that is changing your mindset from a jealous one to a giving one, a generous one.
Yeah, I think that is so important all the time. It's helping people is just, I say helping, and it is kindness to help people by saying whatever you think might benefit them. And it's, some might consider it obtrusive. I don't. Yes. I want somebody to say something to me about, why don't you tell so-and-so about that? Or, hey, I read that and I have some questions about it and let's discuss it, and then it gets better. Because that's what where 1 and 1 makes 3. And it's a third.
But you're also bringing up something beautiful when you say, I read this, let's discuss it, is to come with an open mind of exploration. Let's explore this together. Let's say I've expressed my dream. For the other person to come and say, I have some questions, not from a place of judgment, but I'm really curious and I want to explore this. And by my having to express myself more clearly, that also helps me with the act of enrollment again. So I love that, what you brought up about the book and reading something that you don't understand.
Yes. I just think it is so important to, be kind and help others in whatever way we can. I don't, and there's not a lot of that. You have to search for it a little bit more today, because there are so many human beings on this planet who are just in the me situation, and that's the arena that they're comfortable with. And it really gets, and it's tiring. I don't know how they keep doing it. They're,
right.
How do they continue?
I find that that networking and that connection, the bottom line is it's about relationship building. Your investment in people will always give you a better return than any investment you can make in a business. So, and that's where you get filled. You're saying it's so tiring. Yes, it takes so much energy to be selfish and not share, let's say, and inauthentic. But if you can share your struggles and be authentic, then people will buy your successes much more. And then you'll be able to develop trust. And trust is core to any relationship.
Well, I read a quote recently, and I can't remember where because I just read a lot of them in the books that I read, and I think it said something to the effect that everything begins with a conversation. And I think that that's meaningful as far as everything begins in a relationship, too. That's just my construing this quote, but if you have a conversation, you have a relationship with that person. Because when I ask people what is your relationship like, their presumption is first that they have a primary intimate relationship, and that's not what I'm talking about. A relationship is, we have a relationship right now because we're communicating.
Absolutely.
So everything is happening in the conversation, and I think people need to have more conversations.
Absolutely. We live in a world where we're drowning in contacts, but we're desperate for connection. People get depressed. I see people so often in my office who everybody looks like they're having such a happy life on Facebook and they've got 1,000 friends or whatever, but they don't have the connection, and that's what they're starving for.
Oh, yes. This is so important. And I've discovered that with this podcast that I've been doing for a little over a year, almost a year and a half, is that I have met so many people that I determined that I'm in a relationship with them. I know them. They know me. They know what I do, how I do it, to the extent that we have this. And they can reach out to me, and some of them do, for pretty much anything. I feel as though even on Facebook, I obviously have more of a connection with them than I do with strangers, and I don't relate to strangers on Facebook. It's just, I don't know you. I'm not going to comment on your comment. It's like, I don't know who you are, and I just don't throw out my opinion, my point of view, because it's my point of view, to a stranger, unless I'm invited to do that. So do you have a recent challenge with a client or someone else that you've helped create great achievements?
I'm going to answer that in a minute, but what I just want to say with what you were saying is that, and I'd love for your listeners for this to sit with them, is that you've taken your gifts by creating this podcast and speaking to people and relationships. You're showing them what is so basic bread and butter. This is how we create relationships, by doing exactly what we're doing in a non-threatening, let's just have a conversation. Let me get to know you. Because, I do feel like I know you that much better. And really, we started speaking half an hour ago, something like that.
Yeah, I know. That's why, that's why I keep these podcasts to about a total of 30 minutes, because I figure within 30 minutes, they're going to get it. They either will or they won't. I mean, I'm not attached to whether they do either way, but they can get who the guest is, what they're talking about, what's important to them, and understand other people. That's how you understand other people. And I'm also fortunate to have guests that come from all over the world, such as yourself in Israel. And, I think it's exciting. It's just sharing so much that you wouldn't otherwise.
Right. So to answer your question about a recent dream come true, yes, I had a beautiful story of a man who came to see me, who, since he was a child, when he was 10, he wanted the car. He used to sit with his father, who would fix his car every weekend and polish his car and clean his car. And he said to him when he was 10, he said, "Dad, when I grow up, I want this kind of car and I want to be an auto mechanic." And his dad said, "Not in your life. You will be a computer technician." And he said, "In my 20s, that's exactly what I became. But it was never my passion." And for 40 years, he looked for this particular car. They don't exist anymore in Israel. He found it, and he's recently bought it over as got to think of the English word, it's a vintage car.
Yes.
And he started looking for it in his early 20s. He's now in his mid-60s. And recently I met someone in the supermarket, and she said to me, she wasn't my client, she said, "I was at one of your talks and I want to tell you, I started playing a musical instrument that I've been too afraid to play for so many years." So that's just too...
Well, it's great that you help people connect with their true selves, what they truly want, regardless of what anybody else says, and then they act on it. I want to let everybody know that you can reach Bev Joy Ehrlich at www.b as in Bev, E-V as in victory, .co.il. That's bev.co.il. And you can reach Bev via email if you have questions about today's show at BEV as in victory, EHR. That's BEVEHR at gmail.com. And if you're listening to this on either my website at AskJoanneVictoria.com or on my Facebook podcast page, you will see all of her links that if you wanted to check Bev out at Facebook, Twitter, and she's got 3 places on Facebook: Prosperous Coach Circle, Live Your Dream, Dream and Live Joyfully, and her personal profile at Bev Joy Ehrlich. So, Bev, give us some final words to people in remembrance of what you're talking about so they never forget.
Okay. Okay. Oprah Winfrey said she attributed her success to the fact that she believed in her dreams when no one else did. And I want to just go back to that, putting a stake in the ground to show you're more committed to your dream and yourself than you are to your fears and doubts, because we only have very few years at this life, and let's take a shot at the things that really matter to us, because that's what a dream is. A dream is simply what matters to you and what you're willing to do about it. That's it.
You're right. That's it, people. So what I'd like the listeners to do is go to iTunes and leave Bev Joy Ehrlich a glorious, amazing testimonial about her work here today. And if you feel like it, please give a 5-star review to the podcast, the Sanity IT Project podcast, and go to my website at AskJoanneVictoria.com and let's see what I'm going to offer you today. Go to my products and click on my latest, the Be Your Authentic Self, which is a self-study program. And it includes PDFs, audios, and videos for $297. And just read it. Read the sales page. It's not a long one because I don't believe in those, but just see what's incorporated in this self-study program that you could do by yourself in a short period of time. It's not going to take many hours or days, nothing like that. And then you can repeat every 30, 60, or 90 days. I thank Beverly Joy Ehrlich, Bev Joy, for being here today. And thank you for listening, people. Take care. Bye-bye.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com and continue the conversation on my podcast page. And get a free copy of my book, The True Self Handbook, a guide to transform your life. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.